Hi, and welcome to the introduction video of our Maya tutorial. My name is Mariana, and in this video I will be giving you a quick tour around Maya's software interface. This is a very important video if you are a Maya beginner, since I will be covering the basics on scene navigation, modeling toolbars, polygon selection, move, scale and rotate tool. But most important, we will be doing some basic modeling which I really advise you to repeat as many times as you need before we meet for our tutorial. So first things first, let's start by setting some of the preferences that I want you to have saved for our next tutorial. First thing we should do is to go to Windows, Setting Preferences, click on Settings, and as you can see you have your Y up. This is because Maya is meant for animation, but for modeling traditionally we use the Z as the up axis, so press on Z. Save this, go to View, click on Default View, so you have your view centered and your Z, as you can see on our icon, is up. Let's start by going to File, save the preferences, we don't have to do this ever again. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the layout. So on the top part of your Maya you have usually your commands and your tools. On the middle part of your Maya you have your scene displayed in the center. On the right side you have your attribute editor, your channel editor, and if you don't want to see them, just click them and they are saved on the right. If you want to see them back again, just click on the icons. Same on the left side, your outliner or your tool settings, you can have them hidden or you can see them. Traditionally I model with the outliner on. Okay. So now let's talk about the bottom part. You have all of your animation time slider. You have the place to paste your scripts, Mel or Python. So let's start up with the file. This is from where you start a new scene, you open a scene or you save your scene from here. You can import or export stuff. Moving on to create. This is from where you can create your polygon primitives. As you can see, I have interactive creation on. This means that if we pick a cube, for example, and then we drag it on the sides, pull it up, you can just create them wherever you want on the scene. But if we turn this interactive creation off, click on it, go back to create polygon primitives, you can see that it's off now. Now if you press on cube, your cube will go to 0, 0 on X and Y. Let's delete this guy. Let's continue to the rest of the button. So on the top you still have mesh. This is where you have all of your tools for mesh editing. We will be doing them on our next tutorial, most of them. Mesh tools, mesh display, also where you have your deformers. We will learn this on our next tutorial. Okay, right below you have also, I have it on relative transform. This is from where you can change your object metrically. This is if you want to be very precise, just write a number. You can move on Z or X or Y, or you can just move it freely with the arrows. This is what I do the most. You also have all of your render options next to it. The sphere is your material library for the renders. And under it you have all the icons with exactly the same creation options, but as icons, so it's easier in case you want to use them. Usually I don't click on this bar, but I have them on poly modeling in case I need something. Also, if you're rendering, this is where I have. Okay, so now let's talk about this little bar. This is where you have your camera. If you click on it, on your attribute editor, you can change the camera angle or the focal length. Usually I use 28 or 23 to increase the camera perspective. You can also choose to take the grid off or on. This is the size of your renders in case you want to take a screenshot or you know what the render area is. And now let's talk about the display mode. This is the wireframe mode, which is the same as pressing 4. Next to it you have the shading mode, which is the same as pressing 5. And you can combine the shading mode with the wireframe. This is how I model usually, so I know where my edges are. This is if you want to display material. In case you have lights, this is where you press. This is self-shade, occlusion, and anti-aliasing. All of these three options make your screen look better with higher definition, but they are, as you can see, make your scene a lot slower, so I just use the self shade usually. Now let's move to navigation. If you press Alt and middle mouse button at the same time, this is how you pan. If you do Alt left click on your mouse, this is how you rotate. Scroll in and scroll out, this is how you zoom traditionally. In case you want to center your object, just press F. This is very important to keep pressing F when you have your object selected so you can center the camera on it. Okay, now let's talk about the moving, the rotate and the scale tool. It's on the left side. If you press W, you can get the move. If you press E, you can get the rotate tool, rotate on axis. If you press R, you can move on scale. Scale from the center proportionally if you click on the center cube and then middle mouse button out. Same with the other axes, just press them out. But I don't want you to use these icons, I want you to use the keyboard, so repeat W-E-R, W-E-R, it's very important. Talking about scene display, now we have a full scene. We can also have all of the four sides if we click on that icon, the top and the sides. In case we want to see only on two scenes, you can press there. This is from where you get the outliner in case it disappears. If you want to go back to one scene only, just click on that icon, or you can just click on Spacebar and you get one scene only. Okay, exactly the same commands. Instead of clicking the icons, you can just press on Spacebar, right click, and then you get exactly the same options. So you get top view, Spacebar, right click, left view, same for perspective. So Spacebar, right click. Okay, let's go back to perspective view. Now let's talk a little bit about how to model in Maya. So as you know, you model in Maya with vertices, edges and faces. The way to get this is to right click on the object, drag it to vertex, pull it up if you want. Same, right click, drag it to edges, right click, drag it to object mode, right click, drag it to face. You need to right click on top of the object, make sure that it's on top of the object. Go to object mode, click outside. This is how you quit the object. So let's talk a little bit about these keyboard shortcuts. So all of these tools that you have on top, you can have them exactly from the center of the scene. If you press on Spacebar, keep on pressing it, and then select the options. They are exactly the same modeling options as the ones that you have on top. So Spacebar pressed, and then click on the option that you want better. This is way faster. This is how I model. Usually I don't go to the toolbars on the top. Same as if you do Shift right click on top of the object, you get a series of the most used commands as well. The extrude, the smooth. It's exactly the same. So learn how to use your keyboard. It's very important. This is how I model. Let's recap. If you right click on top of the object, you get the vertex mode, the edge mode, the face mode, the object mode. It's important that you are very flexible at doing this and very fast. You can barely see it. So let's do a little bit of polygon modeling. Starting from a cube, let's create a polygon primitive, a cube. Now let's change a bit its attributes. Go to channel box. If you click on inputs, here you can basically change the number, the height, the width, the depth, the number of subdivisions. Let's change it all to 333 so it's easier. Okay, you can do exactly the same on attribute editor. You can use them both. So let's go to attribute editor. So you can see that on P-Cube, this is how it shows on scene. This is if you want to rotate. You can also change it from here. On P-Cube shape, usually I use this only for the smooth mesh number. I change usually the division to 4. It's the one that I use the most on this side. On Polycube, you can also change the sizes from here, exactly the same as the channel box. Let's keep it on 3. This is also where it gets displayed which material you're using. This is a Lambert, which is the default one in Maya. Okay, so let's move this guy to the right. Let's create another cube. Let's give exactly the same sizes, but let's do them on attributes so we learn. So it's 3, 3, 3, but this time we don't add any subdivisions. Now I'm going to show you the most important feature about Maya, which is pressing on number 3 on your keyboard, and you get the Maya Catmull-Clark algorithm applied on your edges. This means that all of your edges get smooth on number 3. If you press number 1, you can go back to normal. This is just a displayed mode. So another thing that you can see from here that is very important is the number of subdivisions that you have on this object will dictate the level of curvature. So you can see that this is number 2 in case you want to mix them both, but I only use number 3 or number 1. So on the left side you have a lot less number of subdivisions. It's a very low poly, this is how we call it. You have a lot more control numbers on the right side if you want to control the vertex. This is a higher poly with higher number of subdivisions, and you can see that the curvature is very different from the one from the right to the one from the left. Traditionally, if we're doing a very concept or a very big building, we do it very low poly, as low poly as we can. If we do furniture, or if we want to start detailing our model, usually we start from a very high number of, or a higher number of subdivisions, as you can see. Usually we do this for furniture. Let's move forward to how to select. We are on vertex mode, as you can see. To add vertices to the selection, just press Shift, keep pressing Shift, and click on top of the vertex. This is how you add. To subtract, just press Control. This is how you subtract. If you want to select a lot of them, just drag it from left to right, right to left. It's exactly the same. Same for edges. Click on one edge, Shift, click on the second one, Control, you subtract. Maya can select a ring of edges instead of clicking one by one. If you click 2 times on one edge, you get the whole ring. It's very important to know this. It's called an edge loop. So you get the loop if you click 2 times on one edge. If you go to face, it's more or less the same. Click on one, Shift to add the selection. If you want to select the whole ring, don't click 2 times because you will click on the whole object. Just click on the second one 2 times and you'll get the ring. Okay, same, you can scale, you can move, you can do exactly whatever you want. Okay, so now there's a very important feature on selection in Maya, which is called the soft selection. For that, let's get these guys out of the way. Let's move it to the side. Let's start by creating a plane. So just go to your polymodeling plane. Let's rotate this plane 90 degrees. Rotate, open your channel box, you'll see the numbers, just rotate 90 degrees. Press 90. And now scale this out so it's way bigger. Scale it with middle mouse button, don't forget. Take the grid out because it's too confusing. And let's increase the number of subdivisions of this plane. For that, just change it on the channel box. Let's put 50 by 50 by 50. It's a lot denser. Let's go to vertex mode. Click on one vertex and press B. So now you can see this sort of gradient of affection. It's very important. You can control the radius of this gradient if you press middle mouse button and swipe to the left or to the right. You can see that it's getting wider or smaller, and then with the scale you can just scale it a little bit, or you can just move up or down, and you can see that it's a lot more roundy. It's not the same as pulling one vertex one by one, right? So this is called the soft selection. You can do it on the sides. It's good to create patterns. It's very good for master plans, for example. It really requires only a very high level of subdivisions usually. That's how it's the most effective. Okay, pull this up and down. This is a nice and quick way to create a different level of densities of kind of a parametric effect on your mesh. So let's hide this, press H. You see them on the outliner, it gets hidden. You can just press H again and you get it back. Okay, now let's go back to our very low poly model. So as you model and as you go along, you actually add edges and subtract. So let's learn how to add an edge. We go to edge mode. Okay, I have B on, so press B to leave this option. Now you just need to press Shift right click on top of it, select insert edge loop, and then you just need to slide the edge where you want. I'm adding these 3, and then just press Q to leave this tool. Press outside, and you can see that you're starting to get a little bit harder edges on one side, and you keep very soft ones on the other side. Let's keep inserting edges so you understand what I mean. So if you get them closer and closer together, you see that this edge is getting harder. And this is how you can create this contrast between very soft and very low poly and very high poly and hard edges. So let's learn how to duplicate this guy as well. just do Control D, drag it to the right, and then you can see them on the outliner. We can just change the name, click 2 times on it, right box. Okay, so now let's learn another way to duplicate. Let's duplicate in an array on the scene. For that, we go to Edit, Duplicate Special, open the little box, copies. Let's make 3 copies and let's rotate 90 degrees. Let's apply. So as you can see, this guy is duplicating around the object, which is not what we want. We want this to be duplicated around the circle. So for that, we need to change the pivot of this object. This is very important. So if you press D, you can see that you get this yellow sphere inside. Just change the pivot exactly for where you want with the arrows. Press D again to quit this. Okay, now you set the pivot outside the object. Now instead of doing a copy, let's do an instance. I'm going to show you and explain you what this is. Apply. Okay, so what is an instance? An instance is basically a replica of the other object, and whatever transformation you do on one object, you will get done on the other one as well. This is very interesting in case you're doing a set of sofas, a set of something. It's actually a very cool way to model. I like this tool a lot. Okay, so these guys now are instances of your original box. Drag it outside. It's getting a bit like a bench kind of settings. Okay. If you select on object mode, the transformations won't be done. So you need to go to your face, click 2 times. This is how you can rotate all of them. Okay, this is perfect. Maybe let's give them a bit of a gap so they don't intersect. Okay, this is cool. Now as you can see, your pivot is outside, is not centered. Let's keep it on the center. So for that, let's reset the pivot by pressing D, right click, reset pivot. Okay. Now your pivot is back in the center of the object. This is how you want to be modeling. Important thing is how to harden an edge. It's a very important feature. Click 2 times on the edge loop. This is how you get the edge loop. Shift right click on top of the object. Select the crease tool. Now drag it with the middle mouse button to the right. Drag it hard to the right. And this is how you get the creases on your object. It's very important. I keep doing creased edges and soft edges. Select another edge loop. Just click 2 times on top of the edge. Don't forget, this is how you get the loop. Click 2 times on top of one edge. Shift right click, middle mouse button. And if you want to quit, just press Q or go to object mode and click outside. And as you can see, you get this hard edge. Another thing I want to show you is how to change the smooth preview. In this case, instead of doing 2, let's do 4 on attribute editor. You get to see that the smooth is a lot stronger, a lot smoother. This is just a preview setting. Okay, let's hide these guys. Press H. This is getting interesting. Let's learn how to add a material. Just click on top of one add object. Assign new material. Choose a font. This is usually the one that I use the most. Give it a name. It's shown on your attribute editor. Coral, color, whatever color you want. Okay. Done. And then to repeat on the other one, unfortunately, it doesn't add the material to all of the instances. So you have to go right click on top of it, assign existing, and you have the same number. To repeat the command, just press G, G, G. Okay. And now we have the same material applied to all of the instances. Let's take the wireframe off so it gets even prettier. Let's make sure that we have self-shading on, anti-aliasing. That means that the resolution is a lot more increased by pixels. Now let's learn how to add a light. Go to Create, Light, Area Light. Traditionally goes to 0, 0, 0. So if you pulled it up, rotate a bit. Okay, to see the influence of this light, scale it up as well. To see the influences, press on 7 or click on the little icon as well. Okay. Looking good. Now let's change the intensity of this guy. You can change it on attribute editor. 30 might be a bit too much. Maybe you can just make it smaller as well. rotate, and we can change the color. Usually I use one warmer color and one bluish color. This one is the blue one. Okay, let's make this a lot lower, 5. And now let's duplicate this light as well, rotate it around, and now let's make this one even more intense by 10. Maybe this is good. 15. Okay, I think this is nice. You can just keep playing with this, but don't forget to start from scratch so you learn exactly how to do this. And I guess this is all for today, guys. I hope you're excited. Make sure that you repeat this as many times as you need, so next time we can move on to bigger things and more complex. See ya!